Well, hi there. Warm welcome you watching Times Now, and I'm Meghna Deka. Here on our channel, we are taking your voice forward, and it is your anger, your outrage which has shown and turned into action in the Pune Porsche double murder investigation. In fact, here on Times Now, we've been getting you every single scoop, every single day, the latest updates which are coming in every single moment. And now remember, the initial fear and every item of speculation, unfortunately, is turning out to have some substance behind it. Well, in the latest development, the police have arrested two doctors, one of whom is the head of the forensics department at the Sassoon Hospital, where the minor accused blood sample had been sent to be tested for alcohol content. Now, according to the Pune police, the commissioner, the doctors involved chucked the minor's blood sample into a dustbin. Can you believe it? His sample was taken, then they threw it into a dustbin and swapped it with another person's blood sample, which did not have alcohol content. Now, the top cop had alerted the media that a second sample had already been taken for examination because they were being careful, and that there were suspicions are now proven to be true. Watch this.
जो डॉक्टर हैं जिन्होंने सील करके ये रिपोर्ट फोरेंसिक को भेजी थी, उनको कल हमने डिटेन किया था। उनके प्राथमिक तपास में ये बात सामने आई कि उन्होंने जुवेनाइल एक्यूज्ड का सैंपल लिया था, लेकिन उसने उसको डस्टबिन में फेंका था और उसने एक किसी और व्यक्ति का सैंपल से उसको रिप्लेस करके उस जुवेनाइल एक्यूज्ड का नाम लिख करके उसको फोरेंसिक लैब को भेजा था। ये चीज उसने डॉक्टर अजय तावरे के ससून हॉस्पिटल के एचओडी फोरेंसिक मेडिसिन के हैं, उनके कहने पे और उनके द्वारा और ये सब मिलके क्रिमिनल कॉन्स्पिरेसी करके ये कंडक्ट उनकी हुई थी।
Well, apart from the manipulation matter in which charges of criminal conspiracy, of forgery, of gratification to destroy evidence have been invoked, as per the police commissioner, there are three matters under investigation. Now, one of them concerns the case of the homicide of the two victims. The second is an alleged attempt to kidnap the driver and take him or get him to take the blame for the entire accident. And then the third FIR, that is against the father as well as the pub owners in allowing this juvenile to be served alcohol and to be allowed to drive without a driving license. Well, with that, there's some big breaking news which is coming in. In fact, we have the Pune CP. This is what he has to say. We'll get you that first.
3 offences register हुए हैं। 304 IPC culpable homicide not amounting to murder, जो पहला दिन first offence register हुआ था, उसमें जुवेनाइल एक्यूज्ड अभी ऑब्जर्वेशन होम में है। उस केस में ये जो मैं अभी बताया वो सेक्शंस बढ़ाए गए हैं और उसमें 2 एक्यूज्ड को अरेस्ट किया गया है। उसमें जुवेनाइल एक्यूज्ड के फादर को भी आरोपी इस क्रिमिनल कॉन्स्पिरेसी में किया गया है। उनका भी प्रोडक्शन वारंट लेकर के उसके तहत कार्रवाई की जाएगी। सेकेंड ऑफेंस जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट के अंतर्गत जो जुवेनाइल एक्यूज्ड के फादर और पब संचालकों पे दाखिल हुआ था, उसमें सभी आरोपी फिलहाल जुडिशियल कस्टडी में हैं। थर्ड ऑफेंस जो किडनैपिंग का दाखिल हुआ था, उसमें जुवेनाइल एक्यूज्ड के ग्रैंडफादर फिलहाल पुलिस कस्टडी में हैं और उसमें जुवेनाइल एक्यूज्ड के फादर को प्रोडक्शन पे लेने के लिए एप्लीकेशंस मूव की गई है और उसके अंतर्गत कार्रवाई की जा रही है।
Well, in fact, let me go across to Rakesh to get quick updates on this probe, who's joining us from Mumbai. Tetri is also joining us. But Rakesh, I'm going to come to you first. What's very disturbing, and this is something that we here on Times Now had also pointed out, that there were 2 blood samples which were taken. Now it appears that the second one was a safety sample which was taken because the first one allegedly was swapped, that too by the head of forensics. How is this going to hurt the case?
Meghna, firstly, the Pune police claims that this will not derail the case at all because their case is not dependent on the blood test. However, if the negligence has happened, so definitely that is they are answerable. But this case is a classic example that how rich people can manage each and everything. Anything can be managed. So they tried to manage the police station level. The 2 officers who did not take the medical examination immediately after the accident. Then they were managed so that the FIR could be registered, delayed, and then at the hospital hospital level also, the doctor, in fact, the head of the forensic department was managed so that the blood sample could be swapped with somebody else. And so this is how, and not just that, the third attempt was made to implicate the driver, to frame the driver instead of the juvenile. So this is how the entire conspiracy was hashed on the part of the family of the accused, who wanted to safeguard the juvenile in this case and wanted to plant somebody else. But this is the very worst that can happen with any case, that the government hospital's head of the forensic department is involved, and he takes the sample, throws it in the dustbin, and then he replaces it with somebody else's sample. And he did not have even, he must have not even imagined that cops would take a backup or a safety sample, and that will be sent to some other hospital, and that will unfold this conspiracy. So now, what was the amount taken for this favor? That is still subject to investigation.
We'll just come to you. There's some big breaking news here on Times Now. We are ahead and getting you each and every angle of this story, which is developing minutes before the Pune Porsche crash. In fact, the accused minor was caught on CCTV cameras. In fact, what Times Now has now managed to access is a fresh CCTV camera. This is a brand new camera angle that you can see on your screens, which has emerged, where the accused minor and the car can be seen before their party. This is before they went in for a party. Now, this is a late afternoon visual, which is why you can see that there's plenty of light. You can see it very clearly on your screens as well. This video raises further questions of the police, because this car was allowed to be used even without having a valid registration. Let me go across to Rakesh. Rakesh, explain this latest CCTV footage and also the numerous lapses which have happened in handling this case, with this car not even having a valid registration. Still, it was allowed to be used.
See, firstly, the incident the party started on 18th midnight, and this is the CCTV footage of the 18th itself. The CCTV footage, the timestamp suggests that it was at around 6 p.m. in the evening. In a broad daylight, in a city like Pune, a luxury car goes there, stops there, that is without the registration plate. Nobody takes the cognizance of that. It must be crossing a lot of checkposts or the police chowkis here, but nobody takes the cognizance, and it is not stopped. It is not interrogated ever, since it was bought at least 6 to 7 months ago. So that is the first biggest lapse on the part of the traffic police, on the RTO, and also the Pune police, that no one noticed such a big lapse. And in this CCTV footage, you can see the juvenile along with his friends. About total 8 juveniles are seen in this CCTV footage. They are all well dressed, as if it seems that this is after their college farewell party, and then they are entering a venue at about 6 p.m. In this CCTV footage, the Porsche Taycan, that car, is seen from where these juveniles are getting down from the car, and then they are meeting their other friends. So 3 female and 5 male can be seen in this CCTV footage of the 18th May evening, 6 p.m.
So there were 8 of these minors. They are the ones who are coming out of the car. Very visible are their faces. Unlike the other CCTVs, here you can very clearly see the minor as well as all his friends bundled into the car. Then they are coming out, and this is where the party started, and that's where it became the night of dread. Let me go across to our panelists. Also joining us today on the show, Mr. P.K. Jain, the former additional DGP of Maharashtra. We're also joined by Dr. Ishwar Gilada, who is the Secretary General of OMAG. Let me first go across to Mr. P.K. Jain. You must explain the number of lapses which have happened. It is very disturbing. This is the classic case, as even Rakesh was saying, as to how the rich and the powerful, the number of ways that the rich and powerful have to undermine the law at every step, be it the registration of a car, allowing a minor to drive, or even in the probe fund where the blood sample itself was tossed into the dustbin.
Inviting me to the show. Well, this is a classic case of where the polity and the money power and the criminality, they all join hands. Right in the beginning, I had very categorically stated, yes, there was a lapse on the part of the police in first not applying the rectified within no time. And after that, the doctors have played a very, very important role in destruction of evidence. I had 2 days back, I had on some other channels stated the same thing. I said, we are all pointing fingers at the police, but maybe somebody should check the doctor whether the blood sample, that's why.
Well, there
to
seems to be a bit of a
ensure
problem
that
there. We'll try and get your audio corrected. Till then, let me go across to Dr. Ishwar Gilada just to take forward what Mr. Jain was also saying. This is very, very disturbing that the doctors were hand in glove, that there would have been pressure or some kind of an inducement built on the doctors to compromise the case from their end as well. This is as disturbing as it gets. Dr. Gilada, what is the kind of damage which is going to be done?
See, it is really disturbing, and being a doctor, I'm not going to say take the side of a doctor. If something wrong is done, that person should be penalized. Secondly, a person from forensic medicine doing something like this is not acceptable, because police and all machinery will depend on a forensic evidence. So if forensic evidence is destroyed this way, I think we need to penalize the person who is responsible. But in this case, I find there is a political pressure, possibly financial pressure, some temptation of money, whatever is there. If wrong is committed, it is wrong, and that has to be corrected. Second, narco analysis or lie detector test will help. Both of this person who is a doctor, who has done something wrong, but at the most important stake is the victim, or not victim, the perpetrator's father, grandfather, who are involved. And that will expose the whole network of how these people operate.
Absolutely.
If it goes to the raising your children, neo-richism, giving them a lot of freedom when they are not even 18-year-old, flush of money, drugs involvement, sex involvement, alcohol involvement, a lot of issues are there.
Absolutely.
So, as an individual, as a parent, as a grandparent, as a doctor, I think from all angles and everywhere there has been wrong happening.
But Dr. Gilada, you must explain to us, the first blood sample which was collected 8 hours after the incident had happened was tossed into the dustbin. About 6 to 7 hours later, there was a second blood sample, and I believe that is the sample which is now available. So as a doctor, if you can explain to us, will there be any trace levels of alcohol which is likely to be detected after it was 8 and then 16? So considerable amount of time had been lapsed. Even if we do have the blood sample, it's unlikely to have any alcohol, isn't it?
See, up to 24 hours, we can have a trace of alcohol.
Okay.
It depends on how much alcohol has been taken and how much hours are lapsed. How many times the person went for urination and how much time is lapsed. But up to 24 hours, we will have a trace. And in this case, even if there's a little trace, we don't have to have again, legal language, how much trace is required. Because a boy or a girl at 17, even if there's a little trace, that is alcohol. So
Okay.
how that person was taking alcohol, where did he
Absolutely.
take, who has provided, despite having the law that a person below 21 should not be provided alcohol. So I think there are a lot of issues to be answered, even if you find little trace of alcohol in that.
Mr. Jain, would you agree with that? Would you concur with that, that even a little trace of alcohol is good enough, even in the second one? Because at the end of it, a narco analysis, a lie detector test, they may go in for it, but it wouldn't be admissible in court, isn't it?
Meghna, there are two things about it. To prosecute a person, we have to have 0.05% of alcohol in the blood. So that is the legal limit of having alcohol in the blood to prosecute a person. But in this case, since the first blood sample said that there was no alcohol, and the second blood sample, if it says that there was even a trace of alcohol, which was a few hours after the first blood sample was taken, that means the first blood sample was tampered with.
Absolutely.
Now, in this case, the first blood sample was tampered with, but at the same time, there's a whole lot of other direct and indirect and circumstantial evidence available, so that only the entire case is not built up only on the drunken driving. You know, it is a case of rash and negligent, and a person having under the influence of alcohol, but knowing that he is going to cause an accident, he could cause an accident and he could kill people, and yet he was driving at this speed and all that, and that too without a license of vehicle, which was not registered, all those things which are known to you already and known to everybody already. So the case is now being built up on the basic facts of the case and the destruction of evidence, or the attempted destruction of evidence which has happened. I'm very happy that for the first time, the CP or the Pune police has taken action to fix the doctors also in this case. You know, every time the entire blame lands on in the lap of the police, that they are not doing the investigation properly. But the police working is dependent on 2-3 agencies predominantly. One is the doctors, the second one is the prosecution, that is the PPs and all that, and the third is the court. See, now in this case, if one of the links has gone weak, the doctor has gone weak and he has tampered with the evidence, what do you do? I mean, I'm I really appreciate. 2 days back on some other channel, I had mentioned the same thing. That if the person is trying to influence the police by sending an MLA to the police station for hours together, he can also influence the doctor. So please check that sample. The second sample was taken precisely for that reason. Even if the alcohol content was not found in the blood, at least it would establish that the blood came from the same source. That means the first sample also came from the accused, and the second sample also came from the accused.
So
I think the police has been very cleverly able to.
In the course of the trial, it's going to be very significant that at least twice, the second time, they did take a blood sample. So that is only going to help the case and the investigators. Let me go across to Techri. Techri, we are all talking about the role of the doctor. Tell us about the kind of steps, the action which has already been taken and what is expected in the coming days.
Well, now, as far as investigation is concerned, you see, as the investigation is unfolding, doubts are being cleared, and of course, questions are also being raised on the past investigation that was conducted, and also the loopholes that were there in the investigation. Because earlier, you see, earlier the police had mentioned clearly, very much clearly, that 2 blood samples were taken. Yes, they are sticking to that point. Then they said that 1 blood sample was sent to Sasan Hospital, and then the second name of the hospital was not cleared. Today, the second name of the hospital was cleared, and then today they said that they earlier presumed that there could be some tampering of evidence. There could be some tampering of evidence, particularly with the blood sample that was taken. So with regards to that, the second sample of the blood was taken, so that there could be no tampering. And if in case there is a tampering like it happened, and because of which these two doctors were arrested, and now they will also be checking the call logs, the call details, so as to who made the calls to the doctors. Number one, was it the accused father who made the call? Was it the accused grandfather who made the call? And what kind of pressure was built on those doctors so as to change the blood samples, throw the collected blood samples into the dustbin and take the blood sample of another person, so that the alcohol traces are not found in the blood. So yes, number one, who was the one who was building the pressure? Who was the one who was calling? And was there some amount offered to the doctors as well? Were they bribed? All these angles will also be probed and when the investigation will unfold.
Well, Techri as well as Rakesh are right there in Pune getting us minute-by-minute developments on the probe case. We'll keep coming back to you. I'd also like to thank Dr. Gilada as well as PK Jain for joining us and putting all these clues that we are getting for our viewers into perspective. Well, this is one